Okay, let's see file permissions and ownership. Okay, earlier we have seen the file permission or directory permission issues. Okay, so if I jump into OPT, if I do mkdir empty, okay, so you can see cannot create a empty because we have a permission denied issue. Okay, so if we do ls-la/opt, okay, so what it is showing. Okay, so normally if you want to see the permissions, you can just run ls-l. If you want to see the hidden permissions, hidden files or directories, we can use ls-la. It will list all the files which are hidden. Okay, if you want to list the files based on the timestamp. Okay, so you can just type T stands for time. Okay, so you can see the files are listed as per the time. Okay, so the latest one is at the top and the old one is at last. Okay, so if you want to see the old one at the top, you have to use R. Okay, you can see now old one is at top, new one is at last. Okay, now we are seeing the permissions ls slash hyphen la slash. Okay, so if you see opt is having rwx r-x, this one. Okay, so this is opt directory. This is a root directory. We have rwx r-x r-x. So what does it mean? Okay, so D stands for directory. Okay, rwx stands for read write execute. Another 3-bit we have r-x. Another 3-bit we have r-x. Okay, total 9-bit. Okay, so first 3 bits are for user, next 3 bits are for group, another 3 bits are for others. Okay, so D stands for directory. So this since OPT is a directory, D stands for directory. If you see L, okay, so there is an L for this lib. So L stands for link. We have soft link, hard links. Okay, so it is a kind of a shortcut in the Windows. Okay, so yeah, you know, right? So we have a shortcut in the Windows. So that's the one. Okay, so now if you see for OPT, we have RWX for user. So that means root user can do read, write, execute. Okay, group users can do read, write, execute, and others can do read and execute. Okay, sorry. So root user can do read, write, execute. Group users can do read and execute. Same others can do read and execute. Okay. So since EC2 user is comes under group, I think. Let me check. Cat slash. Okay, so since root user, since EC2 user comes under wheel group. Okay, so EC2 user under wheel group, but EC2 is not under root group. Okay, so we are not going to get we will be not under the read write execute of group, but we will be under others. Okay, so read and execute. So what does that mean? Okay, so if I jump into cd/opt, I can jump into that. That means I can list what all the files are there. If something is there to execute, I can execute it, but I can't make the changes. That means I can't create a directory. Okay, so what do we call empty? Okay, so empty directory. I was unable to create the mkdir empty. I mean, I was unable to create the empty file directory. Okay. So now I want to do. Now I want to create a directory here. So let's assume mkdir dir1. Okay, if I do ls-la, so dir1 is having read, write, execute. That means EC2 user can do read, write, and execute. R-X, that means the group is having read and execute. And again, R-X means others can do read and execute, but not write. Okay, so hyphen stands for not having any permissions. Okay, again, if you see this is a directory, if there is no nothing like a hyphen here. Okay, so here directory D stands for directory. So if it is a directory, you can see it is as a directory. If nothing there, we can consider it as a file. Okay, so touch file dot txt. If I do again ls-la, you can see file dot txt is having hyphen, but it is created with read write, not execute. And if you see others and group, only read. Okay, so directory will be created with the different permissions, and file will be created with the different permissions. So this is due to umask. Okay, we will see later in the what is umask. Let's see how to change the permissions. Okay, so to change the permissions, we have to use chmod command. Okay, so chmod command followed by the permissions, like R stands for if I give chmod 777. Okay, so user, group, and others can do read, write, and execute. Okay, so chmod is the command 777. Okay, and followed by file.txt. If I do ls-la, okay, so you can see read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute for users, groups, and others. Okay, so you can see, you can notice this. So file.txt. So this file can be accessed anyone. Okay, so that means the person who belongs to your group. Okay, so here group is nothing but, so let's assume you are a DevOps guy and you have a development team. Okay, so development team wants to access certain files. Same DevOps team wants to access certain files, but DevOps guys or developers guys, they should not access their other teams files each other. Okay, so DevOps guys should not access developers. Developers should not access uh, DevOps guys groups files. Okay, so we can create a group and then we can add the users to that group. What are the permissions are there for the group? The same permissions can be inherit the users as well. Okay, so here if you see, the others also can access. So the persons who doesn't belongs to the group or user or any user, so they can't they can access that file.txt. So this is not a good permission. Okay, so if I say, so we have to use chmod 744 file.txt. Whatever it was there earlier, it was 755. Okay, so I will let you know what is 755 or 44. Okay, if I do ls-la, okay, so you can see rwx r-. Okay, so we have reduced the permissions from r-x. We went from r-w and then we went from rw-r-r to completely open permission. Then we changed to this permission. Okay, so how to what all this is 744 777 755. Okay, so 7 is something read, write, execute. Read equal to 4, w equal to 2, x equal to 1. Read means I can read the file. That means I can cat it. Okay, w means I can write the file. So that means I can go into that file, I can edit the file, I can make the changes, I can save it. Execute means I can execute that file. So I can execute the script. If there is a script in the file or code in the file, I can execute it. Okay. So that is RWX for a file. Whereas RWX for any directory is, I can, if let's assume read is 4 for the directory, same applies for the files and directories. So R equal to 4, W equal to 2, X equal to 1. So if read is there for the directory, I can go into the directory. I can do the ls command. That means I can see what all the files and directories are there inside the directory. Okay. If W is there, I can make modifications to that file. I can create a file, I can delete a file, I can do the modifications to that file. If execute is there, again the same applies. So execute will execute the files and directories, something. Okay. So that is how differently work for the uh, file and then directory. Okay. Let's see how to change the permissions to a directory. Let's -la kfile.txt chmod 755. So currently it is having 755. Let me make it to 744. Okay, ls-la. You can see execute permissions for a group and user has gone. Okay, so I have mentioned earlier, RWX is user, R-hyphen is for group. Next 3-bit is for others. Okay, first 3-bit is for users, next 3-bit is for group, and then last 3-bit is for others. Okay, this is how we can give the permissions to any directory or file. Okay, so I have been mentioning, so what is I have been mentioning read, write, and execute. Okay, so I will show you one example. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make changes to this, make permissions to this change. I'm going to make change the permissions to this file. Okay, so I'm just going to make read only for user as well. Okay, that is chmod 4 file.txt ls-la. Okay, if you see for the user, earlier we have write and execute. Now I can see only read. I can't execute it. I can't write it. I can't write in the sense I can't edit the file. I can't make changes. Okay, let's go there. Let's jump into the file. If I try to go into the edit mode, you can see changing a read-only file. So W10 warning, changing a read-only file. You are changing the read-only file. So you can't change it. Okay. So to change it, again, you have to give the permissions. I'm going to give 4 plus 2. That means read plus write. I won't give the execute. Let's see. Okay, now I have write permissions. I'm going to edit the file now. If I try to edit the file, now I don't see any error. I can write hello world again. Add file.txt. Okay, you can see the hello world. Okay, so this is how we can make the changes with the this is how we can make the permissions or change the permissions to particular file or a directory. Okay, so this is the numbers. Okay, so we can do with the letters as well. Okay, we have U, we have G, we have A, we have X. Okay, so so I have mentioned, right, RWX, read, write, execute. Okay, first bit is for user, second bit is for first bit is for user. Okay, second bit is for a group, and then third bit is for others. Okay, I have mentioned X. It's not X. It's O. Okay, user group O, and A is for all. Okay, let's do with the letters chmod. So what I'm going to do? Let's do ls-la. What I'm going to do? I'm going to remove all the permissions. Okay, I'm going to remove all the permissions. Let's see. Chmod a hyphen rwx file.txt. Okay, if I do ls-la, you can see file.txt is not having any permissions. Okay, so earlier we have read write, execute, read write for user for group and others, but now even user is not having any permissions. Okay, so how this command will do? Okay, hyphen will remove the permissions, plus will give the permissions. Okay, so A stands for all. So what I have done, so for all the users, that means user group, that means user group and others should remove all the rewrite execute permissions. Okay, for file.txt. So now I am going to do what I am going to do. Now I am going to give all permissions back. Okay, now if I do ls-la, so you can see our permissions has been given for all the users. Okay, so this is how we can do for all the users. So if I want to make particular changes to the particular, I want to give particular permissions to the particular users. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I want to remove the write permission because I don't want to make changes. I don't want others to make changes to my file.txt because I am the owner of this file. So I want to make the changes to this file. Okay, I don't want others or any group related members or my team members should not make the changes to this file. What I'm going to do? Chmod group others hyphen w and then file.txt. So G stands for group, O stands for others hyphen w. That means I am removing write permissions to file.txt. Okay, if I do ls-la, okay, so you can see read write permissions has been removed. Okay, this is how we can use the letters to give permission or remove permission. Okay, so in compare with the numbers, we can use the letters only because numbers is something we have to mention chmod 755. So I have to give the permissions to all the users. That means user group and others. Whereas this one you can give to any one user, like user hyphen x file.txt. Okay, so what it is going to do? It is going to remove permission to X user. I mean, it is going to remove execute permissions to EC2 user. Okay. Okay, so I can give the permissions or remove permissions to particular one user. So I will give the permissions back. Okay. Okay, so while you are handling the sensitive files, so if you want to give the permissions, you can do in this way by using the letters, not the numbers. Okay. Okay, let's go to the default permissions. Okay, so I have mentioned right umask. Okay, so umask is something. It is going to create a file with by default. So we have seen. So let me going to create a file and directory, and we will see the permissions. Okay, data. New dir. Okay, and then touch new file. Okay, If I do ls-la, we can see it has been created with certain default permissions. Okay. And file also has been created with certain default permissions. This is happening due to umask. Okay. So umask is giving the permissions umask is giving the default permissions to the files whatever we are creating. Okay. So if you see 0022, so if you ignore the first zero, okay, so you have to consider 022. Okay, what this indicates. So if you see, the first zero is for user, second two is for group, and then third one is for others. So if I mention 22, it is not going to give. Okay, if you mention chmod 2, it is going to give permissions to the file. Whereas in umask, if you give 2, it is going to remove the permissions. Okay, what here it is happening? If you have mentioned 2 for a group and then 2 for others, so what has happened in our case? It has removed the right permissions for others and group. Same if you see for a new file, it has removed right permissions for user, group, and then execute. Okay. So you may wonder, so why X is not there per file? Okay. So that's how umask will work. So as per for umask, the complete open permission for a directory is 777. Whereas for a file, it will be 666. Okay. So what I'm going to do? So I'm going to change the set permissions to 0000. That means it is going to give full permissions to the directory and then the file. Let's observe. So directory is going to create with the 777 and then the file is going to create with 666 permissions. Okay. umask 00. Okay. Now let's create a new file. Sorry, directory. New directory, new dir 2, touch new file 2. Okay. If I do ls-la, you can see the new dir which we have created, it is having complete full permissions. And if you see new file which is having which is created, if you see new file too, okay, which it is created with read write, not rwx, because umask for umask the full permissions is for any file is 666, not 777. Okay. So we can restrict like this. Okay. So you can again roll back the permissions like a 022. Okay. Okay. Now if I try to create any directory, dir new dir 3. If I do ls-la, it should create with out write permissions for group and others. Okay. Directory has been created like this, and then new file 3. This one is going to create without write execute permissions for group and others. Okay, you can see new file 3 has been created without write and execute permissions for both group and others. Okay, this is how we have to create a you can change the default permissions. Okay, so if you see, I have mentioned the umask like this here. Okay, so if you re-log in again, okay, if session gets expired, if you try to re-log in, the permissions will be you won't get the same permissions again. To get effect this umask permissions, you have to add this under this file here. Okay, so you have to add this at the end of the file, and then you have to you have to source it. Okay, like source dot bash also. Okay, So then, even after the next login, you can see that default permissions getting changed. Okay, this is how we can use the umask, or this is how we can change the default permission, file creation or directory creation permissions. Okay, let's go to the ownership of a file. Okay, so to create ownership of a file, so let's assume there is a ls hyphen. If you do ls hyphen la, you can see ec2 hyphen user, ec2 hyphen user for all the files, ec2 hyphen user. If I do go to the root user, if I do ls, if I create a file, um, new file, any file.txt, if I do ls hyphen la, you can see it is created with root. Okay, so what is this first root and then second root? We see two roots. Same, if you see here, we have two EC2 users. First EC2 user and second EC2 user. Okay, so first EC2 user is user ownership. Second EC2 hyphen user is group. Okay, so EC2 hyphen user is the first EC2 hyphen user belongs to user. Second EC2 hyphen user is group. Okay, what does it mean? So when you create a user, okay, so by default a group also will be created with the same name. Okay, so if you want to see the user, created user, so you here you can see EC2 user is there. Okay, if you want to see the group, we have to run /etc group file. Okay, so you can see the group. Okay, so this is a group with 1,000 permission, and then this is the EC2 hyphen user with 1,000 user ID and 1,000 group ID. Okay, so if I do ls hyphen la, so EC2 user, this file belongs to, let's assume, any file. If you see, we have created all these files, right? So if you see any file, this file, let's consider this file. So this file is having ownership of EC2 hyphen user and the group permission of EC2 hyphen user. So if I change the ownership of this file, okay, to any user, so the user can access this file. Okay, so what does that mean? So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to jump into the root user. Before that, what I will do, cd/opt less kdir okay, cd own there. Okay, I don't have any files here. Okay, so if I go back, ls hyphen la, you can see this directory under opt, okay, belongs to root user and root group. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the ownership of this directory to the EC2 user. Okay, chown hyphen chown EC2 hyphen user won't be. If I do ls hyphen la, so this user, the directory of this ownership belongs to EC2 hyphen user. Okay, so what I can do, I'll go back to EC2 hyphen user, cd/opt ondir ls hyphen la. Okay, so if I try to create a file directory, I can create it. Okay, ls-la. If I do ls-la, you can see the directory is created under this dir with easy to user and with easy to user group. Okay, so what does that mean? So you can create any directory. So I have mentioned, right? So when you try to create a file directory inside /opt or any file, so you may get the file permission issue or permission issue, because either you don't have a permission or ownership. Now what I have done, so I have given the ownership to the EC2 user. Now you can create it. Okay, so if I do pwd, let me go ls, let me jump into cd test. If I do ls-la, sorry, if I do pwd, you can see it is coming from the /opt/on-dir/test. Okay, so currently we are in this path in EC2 user. Okay, so we were able to create it. Now let's create one more directory as well under on-dir only, mkdir dev. Okay, if I do ls-la, so I can create I was able to create two directories. Now what I am going to do, I am going to jump again to the root user. I am going to remove that ownership of that directory. Let's come back to EC2 user and try to create a new directory again, what it is going to show. Okay, if I do ls-la, we have EC2 user as a root user permission. Now I am going to do chown EC2-user. On-dir. If I do ls-la, sorry, I have to change it to root permission, right? Root ownership, right? If I do ls-la, I have turned into change the ownership from root EC2- to root. Now I am going to jump back to EC2 user. Let's jump back to cd/opt. Then on-dir. Now if I try to create a file, let's see what directly what is going to happen. Test kdr DevOps. Okay, so if you see, we got the permission in it. Okay, so what has happened? Why we were earlier able to create is we have the ownership of that directory. Okay, now if you see the ownership of the directory was changed to root. Since it got changed to root, we can't create a directory under the on-dir because we don't have permissions. Sorry, ownership. Okay, so we can do it either by either through the permissions or the ownership. Okay, now if I do ls-la, okay, so if you see these are all belongs to EC2-user. Okay, so what all created earlier. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another file, a directory from the root user. Okay, so now I'm going to create a DevOps directory. If I do see the permissions, okay, so the first two directories which are created with EC2-user is having EC2 having ownership of EC2-user and group ownership. And same for test, it is having user ownership and group ownership. But whereas DevOps directory, which has created later without EC2 user permission, it got root permissions. Okay, because we have created with the root user. So this may, if you create when the permission was having, user permission was having for this on-dir, it will still work. So what I'm trying to say is, So now we have root permissions. Earlier we were having EC2-user permission. Okay. So if you try to create a directory from the root user, still you can see this root only, not EC2-user, because you are created with the root user. Root user is the super user, so he can do anything. Okay. So it will be created with the root user. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the permissions to both user and then the group. Okay, so to give permissions to both the user and the group, we have to use chown root root. Okay, and then the directory name. Okay, if I do ls-la, oh sorry, so I have to give the permissions ownership to EC2 user. Okay, so if I do ls-la, you can see EC2-user, EC2-user, both user and group belongs to are having ownership. Okay, so this one direct belongs to EC2 user and EC2 group having the ownership. Now, if I go into this one there, if I do ls-la, you can see still these permissions like a root and EC2 user, root, and EC2 user mixed ownership. Okay, so I have changed the parent directory, but still these directories are having the old ownership. It is not overwritten with the parent directory. To get overwritten with the parent directory, let me go back. What I'm going to do, I have to add capital -R recursively. Okay, if I do ls-la, okay, sorry, on there, ls-la, you can see the changes like EC2 all it got changed to EC2-user. So whatever the parent directory is having, the subdirectory is also having the same ownership. Okay, this is how we can give the complete ownership. This is how we can give the ownership and permission to a particular file and then the directories. Okay.